just start by maybe getting a bit of your background. What's your background, and what is it about Scientology that keeps you so busy?
Sure. Sean has had me on a couple times before. I'm a former editor-in-chief of the Village Voice in New York City. I've been investigating and writing about Scientology since 1995. These days, I tend to write mostly for my own Substack, tonyortega.substack.com, but I also write articles about Scientology for Rolling Stone magazine and the Daily Beast. And I think the reason why you're having me on today is we have some news about a development in England that a MP, Diane Abbott, has indicated that she has asked the HMRC to begin a widespread investigation of Scientology and its tax status in England, which is really big news. And today, I had a statement from Leah Remini about how much she thinks this is a big development in the kind of struggles she's had with Scientology and wanting it to be investigated for years of abuses that we know about, and there may be many more that we don't know about. So it's a really interesting new development. It's a very interesting time to be looking at Scientology. There are a number of lawsuits going on right now that are really interesting. So that's the kind of thing I look at. I write about Scientology every day. I took it on as a beat many years ago, and a lot of interesting stuff happening with it right now.
There's a lot there, isn't there? And I suppose, yeah, it's quite encouraging when a politician raises these concerns. And what is the chief concern regarding tax? I mean, does it have a charitable status in the UK, or a kind of a religious exemption?
It's really complex in England, and it's very strange.
Yeah,
because it has never really gotten the charitable status that it wants, but it does have. You have a much more complex setup over there than we do in the United States. In the United States, it's kind of all or nothing. And they did get that tax exempt status in 1993 in the U.S. But in England, it's kind of more complex. There's different levels of it. They've never really gotten the charitable status they want, but they get around some issues with tax by using an Australian address. The Scientology facilities in England are under a corporation by the name COSRECI, COSRECI, which stands for Church of Scientology Religious Education Corporation or something like that. And it actually has a South Australia address. And they use that to get around some of the issues in England. That's the number one thing that's always been very strange. But also recently, Scientology did give them, the English government did give Scientology a little break as far as declaring Scientology facilities as houses of worship, so they get to charge less tax or something. I don't know exactly what it is. But there's an ex-Scientologist in London by the name of Alex Barnes-Ross, who has been very active lately speaking to local public officials. And he wrote to his own MP last September and asked her, would you please look into this? And she did better than that. She wrote back to him and saying that she's not only going to look into that most recent small development, but that she's asked HMRC for a wider investigation of Scientology in general. I mean, this is the kind of thing we've been hoping for in the United States, for a national lawmaker to ask our IRS, hey, just look into it. Why isn't somebody at least investigating these controversies and reported abuses that Scientology is able to, rip families apart and surveil people with tax-exempt money? So it's really a pretty exciting development.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think the power of a written letter to an elected official can't be, understated. It's an old school way of doing it. Seems to have an effect for sure. So I'll be following that keenly and seeing where that leads, because obviously they're a very powerful, influential organization. I think I was talking at the start of the show about the book Going Clear and how that was wrapped up in some libel legal case in the UK for the longest time before it could be released. So there's Scientology kind of flexing its lawfare in that sense.